This video should be able to help you with your threading and upper thread tension problems. And so we're going to pick this machine because it offers us a nice little cover to remove so that we can see our upper thread tension assembly. So you'll see two tension discs. You'll see a left tension disc and a right tension disc, and then a separator plate. This is the separator plate in between. And you'll notice that you'll see the thread coming down in there. With our pressure foot in the down position, our tension discs are engaged or closed. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise our pressure foot, and if you'll notice, see how loose that this tension separator plate is, and the tension disc as well. So we're going to first show you what happens if you thread your machine with the pressure foot in the down position. If we just pull the thread through our tension discs, you will notice that the thread is not down in between the tension discs, it's riding on the outside. If you do this, if you thread your machine this way, you will have zero thread tension. So I'm going to finish threading down to my needle, and then thread our needle. And so even though our pressure foot is in the down position, if you'll notice, I'll pull on my thread, the needle does not move or flex. That's the way it's supposed to be when the pressure foot is in the lifted position. But we have that in our down position, and our tension discs are engaged. And that is the reason why the thread is not in between. So now let's just raise our pressure foot, and if you notice, our thread has just dropped right into our tension where it's supposed to be. So when I lower my pressure foot again, watch the needle, and you'll see how much that needle flexes. The upper thread tension has to have a significant amount of thread tension because it's has a whole loop of thread that goes around the bobbin case, and the take-up lever, the eye that goes up and down, is going to pull up that excess loop, and it's going to pull from the thread in the rear of your previous stitches, and it's also pulling through the fabric twice because you have a thread going down into the bobbin case and a thread coming back out of the bobbin case, as well as the bobbin thread. So it requires a lot more tension. So you'll see needle is really flexing. So if you have your pressure foot in the lifted position, you see again, needle doesn't flex. So if your needle thread it doesn't have any tension, even when it's down, first thing you want to do is check to make sure that your thread is down in between the tension discs. And then you want to make sure that you check to see if there's any debris in between the discs. There is a tension rod, the main tension stud that goes back and forth, that goes to left to right through this disc, this separator disc, and this tension disc over here. So you have to remember that that's there, and so when you look in between the tension discs, you'll see that that there's a pin or a rod that goes left and right. Anyway, you just want to work around that, and if you see any debris, just skewer it with your needle and lift it out, or skewer it and pull it down. You also want to go in from the top and on this side of the pin or the stud, and then you want to go down on the back side of the stud and pull to the rear. That way you make sure that you get everything on between this tension disc and this separator plate. You'll also have another tension disc that rides up against the opposite side of the separator plate. You want to make sure that you do the same to it, because if your tension discs are sitting cockeyed because of its debris over here, this side will also be affected. But the reason you have two is so that if you're using a double needle, two tension discs, with a separator plate. If you're using a double needle, each thread has its own tension. So to give you a little bit better look, some of the machines, this will work the same on all machines, but some of the machines you won't be able to see in there as easily, like this. Your machine might look like this. Well, the problem is if you get your flashlight out and you want to look into those tension discs, you shine your flashlight out there, pretty much all you're doing is you're illuminating the outside of the sewing machine. What you want to do is take your flashlight, and if you look now, you can see that you've illuminated the inside of the tension disc, and you can see really good in there. So that's a good way to do it. You can also put your your light out here a little ways to give you a little more access from the top and be able to see. Anyway, you just want to make sure you clean those tension discs out if you have any debris in there. And remember, the way to check is to pull on your thread while the presser foot is in the lifted position, lower and pull on the thread to make sure your needle flexes a significant amount. The threading of these machines is important because they show you, all of the manufacturers will show you having a machine that you can just pull the thread through. Well, it's actually better if you hold a little bit of tension on the thread with your right hand, your right thumb and index finger, while you thread the machine with your left hand all the way through. And if you'll notice, I have my presser foot in the lifted position because that opens up my tension disc to allow the thread to get in there. And I'm going to thread this all the way down to there. Now I'm going to turn loose of the thread up there, and then I'm going to thread my needle. And we'll test again, just make sure no tension, very little, down, flexes the needle significantly. Well, I hope this helps.